Hey guys, this is Tony, back again with a deck video, this time for my favorite deck from one of my favorite anime and light novel series. I'm doing the Choice Pants deck for Mushoku Tensei Jobless Reincarnation. I know 8 Standby is the more popular deck right now, but I haven't really gotten the deck to a place where I like it yet, whereas the Choice Pants, I feel like my build is just very, very stable. It's just really, it's also really fun to play, but the weaknesses aren't glaring, and it's just very consistent, kind of like South 10, I guess you could say. Um, so we'll get right into it. I will start off with this level 0 Rudy. This Rudy is a runner. He runs to center as long as, as long as he has 5, or you have 5 more cards in hand, he also gets 2k power. So, you know, turn 1, turn 2, unless something really bad happens, he's pretty much always going to be a 3/5 body and a center runner. So, I run this at the 4 of, both because it's great for board and hand early in the game, and it's also a ditch target for another card that we will see later. Next up is this Eris. This Eris is a clean cut. On play, you top check if it is a character or her own event. I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head, but it is an Eris event. If it's one of those, she gets it as a marker. As long as she has a marker, she gets an extra 2k power on your turn, so she does become a 3/5 clean cut. So, you know, generally, this is a pretty powerful combination. You have, on your turn at least, you have 2 3,500 power bodies on the board. And, you know, obviously, this is always nice when, you know, generally you're going to do something like this and you're just going to clean cut this middle to the back. You're going to get board advantage, some hand advantage. Who knows what you might be able to deny as well with the runner, with that leaving that center lane open. And we'll move on to our third level 0 card. We have the Sylphie. The Sylphie is, she gets 500 global, and she also has the pay 1, send her to memory, look it up to top 3, and add a trait character. You know, they're all on trait, so add a character out of those 3 to your hand. So with these 3 out of the way, we look at what I like to call the God board early on. So if you have these 3, you are in a, unless your opponent has left their center stage wide open, or all they have is like a runner, or they have some 4/5 bodies, something like that, 5k bodies somehow, to run over your stuff. This is an extremely good board for turn 1 if you're going second, or turn 2 if you went first. I mean, you know, Sylphie, it doesn't really matter if she dies here, because with her on the board, these 2 are 4Ks now. So you got your 4K clean cut. You're going to clean cut Sylphie. And Rudy's going to also be 4K. Just power over stuff. On your opponent's turn, you know, you have Rudy, you can do whatever. Eris will probably die without the 2K, but it doesn't matter, because decent chance you're going to level 1 anyway, so you've got your 3, 4, 5 stock. Okay. Well, we're sending her to memory now, and we're going to try to find a good level 1 card. So, I really like when I can get this board set up and I can actually get it to go off. It is an extremely powerful way to start the game, in my opinion. moving on in level 0, let's get to our brainstorm. Finally got some best girl on the board. She is actually a really good brainstorm too. She is a tap self salvage. Her other effect though is when you place a climax in your climax zone, you can give one of your characters twin drive. So I mean, every time you play a climax with this deck, you're going to be able to give something twin drive. So obviously, you know, you get, if you haven't gotten through your first deck yet, you get an extra card milled. You get an extra chance to find a pants or a choice. You get a chance to do extra damage, a chance to pay out a climax that you just got, that you just put in there in the previous attack, etc. I think the other ones were kind of obvious why I had those at 4 and 3, because I want that early board really badly. This one, maybe not so obvious. I very rarely run four brainstorms. I run this as a 3 of because there are a decent number of ways for me to find this if I need it. And at the same time, I don't always need it, because if that level 0 game goes off, I'm not having hand issues. I'm getting my level 1 combo out, and I'm not hurting that much for the brainstorm unless I really, really need the mill, which at the same time you'll see later our level 1 combo also adds a bit of mill. Okay, we have a 1 of Sylphie on the board now. This Sylphie is the memory blink. Send a character to memory and put it back on the stage. She is also a climax stitcher to salvage though. I would like to run more than one of this. I can't really fit it into the deck very easily though. I love climax stitchers, but I don't think it's quite as good, not quite as good with the blink effect as some other climax stitchers that I've had, like the Shizu and Slime that lets you top check 2 and set your trigger. Although if as I'm messing around with the deck, if I can find a way to put in the second one, I probably will. Alright, more best girl. This Roxy level 0, I love this card. I would love to run more than 2, but I don't really think it's necessary. When this is played, you get to look at both the top and the bottom of your opponent's deck. Free information is always good. I love free information, whether it's my deck or my opponent's. It just makes, it gives you more information to figure out how you want to run things. And she is also a ditch outlet. You, on play, ditch a card in order to salvage the event that we'll see later. An event that was fairly infamous in JP for a while, and everybody thought it was going to be banned, but it wasn't. Final level 0 card. Another, or a 1 of Roxy. On play, she just gives 1500 power to something, but the main reason I run her is because she's a climax swapper. And so, you know, climax swappers I rarely run more than 1 of, occasionally 2, but it's not really necessary. If it's something I really think I'm going to need, I'll usually try to grab it early and hold on to it anyway. Alright, moving on to level 1, if I can find the cards. Here we go. Rudy TD combo. It's not an amazing combo, but it is a good combo. But the main reason for running it is that this deck specifically has cards that run off of these, the choice pants combo. And it also runs decently well into the level 3 Roxy combo. What it does is, on attack, if you have experience 2, you look up to the top 3 of your deck, add a character to hand, ditch the rest, and then he gets 1500 power for until the end of turn. And as I just said, he is on a choice climax. So, also, like I said a little while ago, he does get he gets extra power here. He gets extra power from somewhere else, and so he swings in pretty well. If your level zero turns went by too fast, he gives you extra mill, 4 cards per attack. I guess if you include the trigger, you're only looking at 3, so you don't have quite as much selectability. But there are ways to turn some of those cards into what you need, anyways. We've already seen at level 3. And so we will move on to our next level 1 card. Leave the climax out for now because the next level 1 card is this Roxy. This is one of my favorite cards in the entire deck. And this is one of the reasons why the deck runs as this specific choice and the specific level 3 Roxy Pants combo. She gets 500 each other continuously, both turns. And the Climax Combo or icon there is because whenever any of your characters, if she's on the board, any of your characters trigger checks the choice or the pants from the level 3 combo, you can pay 1 to draw 1. And so, you trigger a choice, you get to add your stock or add to your hand, and then you get to pay out the choice and plus hand again. This is one of the big reasons why this deck is so consistent and why I've actually pushed this card up to level 3, because I feel it's that good in the deck. I mean, if you play it right, you're getting good compression. Good compression means you're going to lose climaxes, but when you're not burying climaxes as long as you have one of these on the board, and you're plussing twice every time you trigger a climax with this. It can be, you do have to be careful wasting stock sometimes, but thankfully the level 3 game in this doesn't look at stock, it looks at hand. So hand is more important than stock in this deck. Another reason why this card just runs so well. There are times when I know I'm not going to need a brainstorm, or I might not even need my assist. I will just stick one of these in the back row the entire game, in case I have better attackers up here, or I have early plays up here that I don't have room for this, or I want to get 3 Rudy combos up here. I don't have room for this. I might just stick it in the back row, just for those triggers. Great card. I love it. It might actually be my favorite card in the entire deck. We don't need the climax anymore, but moving on to our next 1-0 blue Roxy, and we are going to bring Rudy back out again because this Roxy gives 500 global to everything. She also gives 1k global to this Rudius. So again, you can see how much synergy there is in this deck. This Rudy swings for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9k with the choice on the board. Maybe 9.5 if you have one of those level 0 Sylphies still on the board. He just swings big just for fun. Then gets your mill, goes through everything we just went through a few minutes ago. But then she also, if you're level 3 or higher, all you have to do is sack her, and you can play a level 3 from your hand. So basically, you're playing it from hand for free. And since this has you play it from hand instead of waiting room, you will get that level 3s on play effects, which we will see in a few minutes. For our last level 1, we will come to one of the reasons why we run for the runner. First off, we'll just say this is an anti-change stock bomb. Nothing too crazy there. But the Climax Combo is at the beginning of your attack phase. If you don't have a climax in your climax area, you ditch the runner, and you can search for the choice climax and put it in your climax area. So again, we're seeing very interesting synergies with multiple cards throughout this choice pants deck. I really want to run this as a 2 of so that I can, it'll be helpful to fix when I'm having a bad game early on. I can't get the choice in my hand, I'm having trouble getting the right cards in my hand, etc. Or, you know, going against a standby deck and, you know, maybe there's a couple guilds or a couple tokas or something on the board and I just want to get rid of them for a turn until they come back. Okay. But I'm having a lot of trouble finding room for more than one of these because there's so many good cards and so many important cards for how this is set up. And the card, the event for the deck, that you'll also notice is now has been showing up in the 8 standby builds over the last, since I really started taking off in Japan. There was a time when we thought this event was just going to be straight up banned because it's so good in both of these decks, and it never got hit in Japan at all. What the event does is, on play, it goes to memory, and you... the cat is bugging things. On play, it goes to memory. You search for a character, and you ditch a character from your hand. And then when this is in memory, when you level up, you can ditch this from memory to waiting room in order to search again. So on play, on play you're negging. But let's say you have 3 of these in your memory. Your opponent is, what, 3-1, 3-2, I don't know, something like that. And he just pushes you to level 3. So you haven't been grabbing your level 3 combo, or you haven't grabbed like 2 or 3 of them because you figure I'll be able to grab them later on. Level 3 hits. You put these in your waiting room. If you have, well, probably if you have a decent sized deck, you put all 3 of these in your waiting room. You search 3. First good thing about this, if it's still your opponent's turn, you just took 3 damage out of your deck. So it can grant a decent amount of compression. The other great thing is you're going into your level 3 turn, or if you run something different and you have a specific early play at level 2 or some kind of game at level 2 you want to do, it works when you hit level 2 too. You get all of the cards right then that you're going to try to get all of the cards that you want to play next turn. When it goes off really well, I've had it multiple times where I'm practically in a fresh deck. I hit level 3, I drop 2 or 3 of these, take 3 of my level 3 Climax Combo out of the deck, add them to hand, or take a couple early play healers out of the deck or something like that if I'm hitting level 2 and it looks like trouble. So a lot of people only run it as a 3 of. I like to run it as a 4 of just to be safe. My goal every time I play this deck is to have at least 2 in memory when I hit level 3. If I'm only running 3 of the event, it gets harder to do that, especially since I only have 2 of the cards that can grab the event from the waiting room. So we move on to level 2. I only have 1 level 2 card in this deck. And to be honest, out of all the games I played with this deck, I've only used this card once. It's a tap counter. On play, pay 1 to play it for 2,500, and then once you've done the assist, pay 4 sack 1 to tap or rest one of your opponent's characters. I don't use it very often. It's there both as a threat and because it just has epic art, and I just try to put 1 in every Mushoku deck I make just because the art is so stupid and awesome. Alright, now we will move on to level 3. Let's start off with the Roxy. that we were talking about earlier synergizes with this. This is the one that when you're at level 3 can sack this to play this from hand. On play from hand, you get to draw 2, ditch 1. So, you get a free level 3 on the board. She's also a 2k assist in front, so you get a free 2k assist in front, basically. You get a free chance to try to draw into your combo or try to draw into your climax, try to draw into whatever you might be looking for there. And then, if these two are in your back row, play a climax, get something twin drive. This one, if you trigger a climax, you get to give something twin drive. And so, Roxy's just sitting there giving twin drives for basically no reason. It's a really, really interesting way if you want to do extra damage, or if you want to try to coin flip into a side for exact lethal on a couple or something like that. So I want to run it as a 2-of, but again, I can't find a room to run it as a 2-of, so right now, this is only a 1-of. I'm probably going to dig into it a little deeper, try to find a way to get this as a 2-of, because I have trouble holding on to this the entire game sometimes. And more so, I have trouble sometimes finding it if it gets buried in my stock and I don't pay it out in time. Also, the fact that sometimes I want to put this in level, because there is a card in the deck that wants experience 6, and sometimes this is the best way to get my level 1 game started if I know I'm only going to be able to, like if I only have yellow in hand and I'm worried I might not be able to clock blue or something like that. Alright, so next we will go on to that card that wants to see experience 6. This is an early play Rudy. If you have 4 or more characters on board, he loses a level, so you can play him at level 2, early play, obviously. If you have the experience 6 in your level zone, he gets 1500 power cross turn. And then on play, he gets 4500 power, and during his battle, both players can't play backups until the end of the opponent's turn. So 4, 5, 6, he's 15k cross turn for the first turn that he's played. I mean, sometimes having a massive body for no reason is a great thing to have. And then, of course, after he loses that 4500, he's still a 10-5 body, 10-5 two-soul body anyway. And certain decks that can still aggravate the crap out of your opponent as well. It's only a 2-of because a lot of games you won't even be using him. A lot of the time, I wind up trying to clock him or level him. And then if I find out that I need or want him, I'll have the experience 6 by then, and I'll be able to find, if I need it, this one, because I'm almost never going to play 2 of these. At least as far as the games I've played, I haven't come into that situation yet. On to the early play healer. This is another early play Rudy. A fairly typical early play if you have 2 or fewer climaxes, and he is a stock healer. So, early play, 10k 2-soul body, stock heals. Yeah, end of story. Nothing really to write home about on that. And our final card, we have the Climax Combo, which is another Best Girl Roxy. Very cute Roxy. During your turn, Roxy gets 2k, so she's an 11k 2-soul body just sitting there smiling at you, literally. Or maybe just sitting there smiling at your opponent, who knows. She also heals on play. And then her combo, at the end, not on attack, but at the end of her attack, if you have, where is it? The pants. Roxy pants that we saw earlier in the Climax Zone. She has 2 effects that you can choose from. The first effect, just burn 1. The second effect, you can ditch 2 cards to burn 3. So, personally, I love modular burns. That's one of the reasons why I tend to prefer the level 3 choice Kurumi from Data Bullet over the standby Kurumi from Data Live. The modular burn is just really, really strong to me, in my opinion, even if it's a little extra costed on the Kurumi because of the modularity. This one is great because, I mean, if the opponent's close, or if he's not in lethal and you just want to try to guarantee damage, you get the free burn 1 no matter what. And then the burn 3, this is, again, a lot like the Data Bullet choice Kurumi. It goes off at the end of her attack. So, advantage and disadvantage. Advantage, if you're low on hand, you go fishing and coin flip and look for a choice. You get a choice, you add a card to your hand, and now you can get her burn 3 off. If not, okay, you just do the free burn 1 and hope for a choice maybe on this Roxy. Advantage, or disadvantage, again, same disadvantage as the Kurumi from choice Kurumi level 3 from Data Bullet. It says at the end of her attack, tap counters, memory kick counters, kill counters, anything that can remove her from the board before the end of her attack, you won't get your burn. So you do have to consider if your opponent is maybe going to play a tap counter on her, or if she's only 9, 10, 11, 12, 12k, maybe 14 if she's in front of the Roxy assist. Memory counters are 3k counters. Your opponent counters over to 14, 5, 15k, boots her to memory. Okay, she doesn't get a burn. So you do have to consider if you're going to have to do a side attack, or if you're going to have to maybe flip a coin and put her in a direct lane, do a direct and a burn, and see what happens. So that's pretty much it now. Like I've said so far, the deck has a lot of advantages and disadvantages. Oftentimes, if you play it right, most of the time, the advantages will definitely outweigh the disadvantages. The deck is incredibly consistent unless you just have one of those games where, every time you touch the deck for a trigger, it's a climax. Every time you touch the deck to add a card to hand, it's the wrong climax, or it's a level 3. If you have one of those games, okay, you might not be able to recover. I actually have recovered from those kind of horrible games with this deck multiple times because of the consistency, because of the help you get from this. The help that you get from this. Even at times, I have done this at level 1. If I don't think that my level 1 Climax Combo is necessary right now, or if I can't do it yet, and my opponent's still level 0, or my opponent didn't get very good level 1s out, I mean, it's entirely possible at level 1, I have 4 5s here. 5 5s with a Climax. I mean, this can possibly turn into an ignorant board at level 1 to help you get some extra time to try to gain an advantage, or try to get your choice climax, or try to get a Rudy in hand or whatever, so you can do your level 1 climax next turn. We went over the advantage of the event by itself. When you hit level 3, it can be just stupid, because not only do you compress your deck if your opponent hasn't run out of attacks yet, but you also get, hopefully, if you actually have a deck, you get cards that you are definitely going to need on your next turn. Probably, hopefully, in order to try to kill your opponent. If you're not, then you're probably in some deep trouble anyway. And again, just straight synergies. I mean, not only does this give me free information on the top and bottom of my opponent's deck, but it also lets me ditch out of climaxes and level 3s to grab a card that I love to play at level 1 and get into memory as soon as I possibly can. Again, more synergies. More synergies. The deck, there might be more synergistic effects and cards in this deck than in any deck that I've ever played, possibly. And finding the possibilities when you're testing this, or when you're actually playing a game or playing a test game, practice game, whatever. I'm always finding more possibilities that I hadn't thought of before, and it's really fun to mess with. Yeah, the power level's not as high, definitely not as high as 8 Standby Mushoku, but in my opinion, it's more fun to play, and I found my favorite build much faster than I did with 8 Standby Mushoku. So, that's it. We're done just in time for Mushoku to come out in English, as everybody, well, the people who haven't already broken Street Date will be getting their sealed stuff in the next 3 or 4 days, start opening it and start testing. So let me know in the comments, any suggestions, comments, hate you might have for the way I build my deck. As I always say, I don't net deck. I build my deck specifically for me, for my style of play, for how I like to play. There's going to be things in this deck that you're going to want to swap out a little bit. You might want to take the events down to 3. You might want to take the Climax, the one that lets you pay 1 draw when you trigger a Climax. You might want to take that down to 2. You might want to take the runner and the clean cut down to 3. It all depends on your play style. So this is just like a mold for you to start with and figure out where you want to go from there. And so that's it. I will see you next time.